Hey everyone, Matt here with Moesif to show you how to use our retention reports feature to figure out exactly what your API business's retention looks like. Now, first thing that we're going to do, we need to make sure that we have user and company tracking enabled. If you're going to be using user retention, you want to make sure you have user tracking enabled, and then obviously if you want to go further and look at company retention, you'll need to make sure that part's enabled as well. And you can check out how to implement that based on the docs that we've provided. Now, once we have that enabled, the next thing for us to do is to come into either users or companies. We'll create a user retention report right now. So I'll click on users. You should see your users being populated here. Then in the chart type selector here, we're going to select retention. Then you'll see we come to the screen where we have our event criteria. We are able to do segmentation. We're also able to do group buys as well. What we'll do first is set our first event. Now, for this specific scenario, what we're going to be doing is looking at when someone comes and does a purchase the first time. So we're looking at it, essentially we're looking at an e-commerce API where we have, different products that people might be able to go through. But essentially when we consider them converted is when they've made a purchase. So select here, we'll go to request, URI route is, and I'll do purchase. And now I only want to include purchases that were successful, so I'll do where response status code is 200. And our returning event is when they come back and make a second purchase or continue to make purchases. So we'll set the exact same filters here where request URI route is purchase, so / purchases there, and then also add in our response status code as well. Response status code is 200. All right, so we've got our events defined now at this point, and if we scroll down here, we can see that our basic retention report has been created. So day one, obviously 100%. And then as people do this returning event, they're going to get tagged as retained. And we can see as we move out what the daily looks like. Now, we could also change it to weekly. It gives us a bit of a smoother curve instead of being up and down because we're only looking at it by week. Or if we have enough data, you can also do it monthly as well. Now, you can also change the amount of time you'd like to look at. So you could look at retention in the last 7 days, you could look at it in the last month, the last 12 weeks, or you can also set an absolute date range. Because of the demo data that I have here, I've actually set an absolute date range, but you can set this to whatever you'd like. Now I'm going to set this back to weekly, and we'll close this here. And I'm going to show you just a few little tweaks that we can make to dig in a little bit further. The first is, when people subscribe to our service, they may have different plans that they're subscribed to. So first thing I'm going to do is do a group by. I'm going to group by, I'm going to go into metadata. I'm going to come into plan. Now we have 3 plans. No plan, which is essentially our free plan. We have an enterprise plan, and we have a pro plan. And if we look at this, we can actually see all of them grouped by the users that are part of those plans. So our most successful retention, obviously, is those that are on our stamped with none or on our free plan. Our enterprise retention in this data set, starts to drop off heavily by week 4. And then we can see our pro plan also follows a kind of low trajectory in terms of retention. Now we can also change this, obviously look at daily to see exactly what it looks like. And you'll be able to go in a little bit further and see, the daily breakdown of retention. Now, let's say we wanted to put, multiple groups together or look at different segments that might have, instead of doing a group by plan, what if we wanted to do enterprise versus non-enterprise users? Well, we could do that as well. So let's get rid of this here. And under segmentation, we'll do performed by users where, again, we'll do metadata plan is enterprise. And then what we'll do is create another one that will do metadata plan is not enterprise. And what we'll do is we'll do enterprise users versus non-enterprise users. All right. Now, well, let's change this back over to weekly so we get a bit smoother curve here. Now we can see here that we have enterprise users, which are these users here, and then we can see non-enterprise users. So this is going to group together our free or none segment as well as our pro plan segment, so we can combine those groups together. Now you'll also see at the bottom here that we have a table view too, so we can see, instead of hovering over top of each one of these, we can actually see what the retention looks like on a very precise number basis, week by week. One last thing to mention here is that if you like or want to save this retention report, that's really simple to do as well. So you come over to save up here in the top right. You can name your workspace. So we could do enterprise versus non-enterprise, and then select a dashboard that we want to add it to. So in this case, we would want to set it to product. Now I'm in a demo account right now, so I'm unable to save it, but clicking this button is going to allow you to save it, and then that's going to show up in the product dashboard or whatever dashboard you've selected. And that's really all there is to creating retention reports in Moesif. So you have to set the event criteria first, and then if you want to dig a little further, you can look at segmentation to be able to create, segments of users that you want to track or combine together, or you can use the group by and group specific users together by a pre-existing property.